many organizations will come and it's like, oh, I need a CISO. And well, what are you trying to accomplish, right? Sometimes they don't need a CISO. Sometimes they need just a VP or, someone in, one type of seat. So it's ultimately understanding like what their end goal is, right? What is the problems that they're experiencing? What are some of the things that they're looking to accomplish? And then guiding them to what would probably be best.
Assemble the council.
In today's episode, we are talking to Adrianna Iadarola about the human element, where AI and cybersecurity recruiting collide. Good day and welcome to the Cybersecurity Council podcast. Today, our special guest is Adrianna Addy Iadarola. We are going to call her Addy for the remainder of the show. Addy is a cyber leader and a community builder. Addy has a leading role with several organizations in cyber. We're going to talk about that today, and we are going to be talking about AI and how it interacts with recruitment. Addy, welcome to the show. Please say hi to our audience.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
So Addy definitely knows cyber team building and recruiting. Addy knows privacy and risk. Addy knows engagement consulting. Addy knows cyber sales. First, she is with VertTalents, where they are mentoring the technology and cybersecurity influencers of tomorrow. VertTalents is a staffing agency, but it is much more. Addy is also a host with the Cyber Breakfast Club, where she helps facilitate both the Georgia and Boston chapters. The Cyber Breakfast Club is a private cybersecurity breakfast club that brings together thousands of cyber leaders to 18 clubs nationwide over breakfast. And the intent over there is for authentic discussions and sharing for cyber professionals to be able to take place. Here at the Cybersecurity Council, we are quite tightly aligned with the Texas chapter of the Cyber Breakfast Club, so it's good to have an East Coast representative in the house. And I also want to mention that Addy is an ambassador with Secure Diversity, which helps empower women in professional tech environments. So Addy, you are everywhere. I just mentioned all of the things that you know. I'm glad to have you here. You're not just cybersecurity. You make cybersecurity happen. Addy, have I introduced you correctly? Is there anything you would like to change or emphasize for the record?
The only thing that I would change for the record is I also host the women's group for the Cyber Breakfast Club and was the creator of that.
See, there is richness to you, my friend, and that's why I used the word rich earlier. We will be heading towards the confluence of AI and recruiting, but let's start with VertTalents. Please tell us about it.
So VertTalents is a talent cultivator. So we are looking to be a trusted advisor to organizations where we want to support the success in the security of the organization. And we do that by bringing value add. So with that is we're listeners. We want to understand the issues that each organization is having, what their goals are, and really try to fit them with the best solution to improve all of their struggles and not just like add another hire to the team.
And can you describe the overall company vision?
Our vision is truly to just bring happiness back to the industry, to support organizations on growth and to overall get, security leaders back to having healthier lifestyles, supporting in the kind of social aspect of it, and giving individuals their weekends back if possible. But overall, I would say our mission is really valued on supporting the industry to, be successful.
You described yourself as a talent cultivator. Mm-hmm. Are there some specific differentiators that separate you from other firms in the market?
Say, truthfully, it would be myself and the organization that I've supported and am currently with. So being that we are a sister company to our parent company, VertBright, With that being said, we provide many types of solutions, which we can support not only in hiring, but also providing the support of solution-based and services. So we can give a complete package under one trusted advisor. And ultimately, if there is something that's happening within a client of mine, I will bring the expertise with me in order to make sure that we are impactful. So I don't try to solve issues that are over my skill set or things that I don't understand. I am definitely willing to make sure that I bring the right people to the table to give you the best solution possible.
That's a great attitude. I'd like to give you an opportunity to brag, though. And what is one or more achievements from VertTalents that you're particularly proud of?
I would say one of the most recent achievements was helping an organization to obtain a cybersecurity team where they were, pretty tight on budget and had some serious goals in mind. And we were able to introduce them to more of a globalized workforce that allowed them to still access the talent that they need in order to get the job done, but also to fit into their budget. So it was really taking the knowledge and expertise we have of building global teams and giving them the insight and the confidence in order to kind of make that big step. And we held their hand through the whole process. But what I really enjoyed about it is just giving the CISO there and the security teams and leaders the ability to get the job done that they needed to and have success and just kind of lack of stress and, organizational setup that they were actually looking to have. So just introducing them to new concepts was eye-opening for them. And it was a pleasure to be able to serve them exactly what they needed in the budget that they had. So it was exciting.
I would like to draw attention to a keyword you used, team. VertTalents and Addy is not just one-on-one recruiting, you're building teams.
Correct.
Would you like to say more about that?
So inevitably, a lot of organizations will come with project type scoping work, as well as just kind of identifying new big changes, whether they're moving into the cloud or transitioning into AI or have massive audits with all of the changes happening within the government and regulations. What we do is support to get to that end goal and really provide more of a consultative approach where, I'll bring someone of that expertise to help us build out what can we get done when and who do we need to put in place to do so.
We're now going to open the door to AI and discuss the confluence of factors with recruiting.
Okay. Love that.
I've got a number of questions for you. Hopefully we have a happy dialogue here.
Shoot. Let's hear it.
You're in the field. How has AI changed your approach to identifying and evaluating candidates compared to some of the traditional methods that we know and love?
Absolutely. I think from a perspective, I am a big believer of AI. I'm a big believer of technology and evolution. I definitely see a lot of positives that are coming with it. I am hesitant and skeptical, though. And I think it's more so of just some of the things that I've seen in the sense of being in the recruitment industry. So I would absolutely say that the evolution of it is creating where things are happening a lot faster. But with, quickness, we're still dealing with humans, right? And we're still in need of making sure that they fit not only on paper, but also as the organization's kind of outlook on what they want for personality, soft skills, and overall just making sure that culturally they are a match. So it has given me the ability to reach more people faster, but it still has not taken away the kind of human touch that still needs to be there, because it's very important to make sure that that stays.
I'm hoping that we can talk you into revealing some of your cheat codes and secrets. I won't put you on the spot at the moment.
Absolutely.
Could you tell us a little bit more about AI and evaluation?
So in utilizing some AI tools, which I definitely have, right? Every recruiter uses LinkedIn Recruiter, majority of us. And with that being said, they've definitely created features and functionality to find talent faster that matches the criteria of what your client's looking for. And ultimately, that's kind of given me the perspective to go through more candidates faster. However, it also gives me a much larger number to assess, which can at times be challenging because you can't always go off what's written on paper or even on LinkedIn. And so with that being said, it's created where it's almost more workload in a faster way, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does make sense. And when do you put down the seeking tools and go back to good old fashioned, I'm Addy, the best recruiter in the business, and I'm going to give you a call?
So to be honest with you, that's the first place I always go. I am very much relationship driven. I am very big with community. So the first place I go to is my networking community to make sure that I am supporting individuals that I have had some type of, experience with, because it's much easier for me to understand all of the in-depth, not just technical skills, but who they are as a person, and, matching them up with opportunities that they're going to be successful with and the clients are going to be happy. And then is when I go to kind of maybe searching or utilizing tools where it can advance my outreach, whether it's utilizing LinkedIn Recruiter, putting in my display of what I'm looking for, and, it's sending me matches. And then I'll start digging through based on, how many connections I have and who's kind of at what type of industry. And so really narrowing down the criteria after that. And then it goes back to sending out messages and getting on phone calls where, those are things that are critical. So AI can't take that away. It's given me matches, but at many times false matches, unfortunately. So it's still a working art, that's for sure.
And what are the primary AI tools that you lean on? You've mentioned LinkedIn Recruiter, but are there other things that are in your toolbox?
So, we do have HubSpot, right? So they've done some integration with AI. I use a tool called Dripify, which helps support in some automation tasks. But other than that, maybe some ChatGPT if I'm looking to, get support with writing some of my blog information and want to get, references out of there. But those are pretty much only tools right now, other than, the day-to-day stuff that my corporate headquarters might be utilizing, that kind of makes the process of the day go round. But for my job directly, it's ultimately HubSpot, Dripify, and LinkedIn and ChatGPT as needed.
I imagine you are encountering many resumes that have been fluffed up by AI tools. Given that you have a discerning eye, how are you contending with that? As a recruiter, do you look at some things and see that it's been tastefully done? Mm-hmm. Where are you in that space of evaluating talent, being that people can present themselves at a quality level more easily these days?
Absolutely. To be honest with you, I go to the experts. So I go right to my hiring manager and ask for knockout questions. What are some things that we can, go in and really dig and vet? So if, they're explaining they have specific types of skill sets, I really dig in and understand if they truly do, or are they just writing, right? So the more questions you ask, the more people will dig themselves out, right? Because they use certain words of like, oh, I led a team, like where they didn't actually do it hands-on, or, well, I was a part of that, like, but were you doing it? So in conversation, when you put humans on kind of like, here, let me ask you these questions over a video call, and is the truth coming out? It's, relatively quick to see if someone's being honest.
Couldn't agree more. I would point to recent interviews that I've conducted with my own knockout questions. Like, oh, you
Absolutely.
Don't actually know all of this SOC 2 stuff that you are claiming to know.
Exactly.
But still, that's the human touch.
That is the human touch. And I think it's really important for individuals to understand that you can't put in a job description and say, write my resume to, fit for this specific job, where you're going to get caught up somewhere, right? If you're interviewing with the right professionals and people are taking their time, but there are going to be people that fall through the cracks, unfortunately. And when they show up to go to work for the first day and they can't complete the job and tasks that they were hired to do, it's going to create some uncertainty.
I'd like to ask you about job requirements. Now,
Absolutely.
in your experience, how are job requirements across the cybersecurity landscape changing and or growing because everybody's increasingly relying on AI and automation?
I think it's going to affect more of our entry-level market a bit more, because a lot of the things that they were once hired for will be taken over by AI and automation. For instance, like SOC analysts, right? Reviewing logs and alerts. I think of all of that being something that potentially will be automated within tasks. So what I consider it being is leveling up, right? So understanding, the evolution of roles needs to be more advanced now. So our entry-level trainees need to have the next step up of skills. And that's kind of how they train. And that's how leaders need to look at it as well, is we're not training them on these entry levels, types of positions. We're probably going to train them on like a tier 2 SOC, right? And that's going to be the new entry level role. So I definitely see a lot of positions doing that kind of, shift to a little bit more senior. But I definitely see job requirements changing where they're going to require some more AI experience or things that are relevant to AI. So ultimately looking at engineers, for instance, so a security engineer might have to have, experience working within an AI environment, or actually utilizing some of the security tools and actually automating them, have some scripting experience, knowledge within AI and machine learning. So truly just understanding it as a whole and educating themselves. Because I think positions aren't going to really change like what they're doing, but there's going to be things added. And it's definitely a brand new feature and functionality. So people need to educate themselves on it.
I'd like to take a moment and just share a little bit of perspective. I am in a new CISO role. I have Claude AI open all day, every day. I am using it live during conversations. Yes, I do not put confidential corporate information into it, but I'm letting it assist me all day long. Oh, I need a template or a process for this. Boom, boom, boom. Please go, let this inspire you. Go accomplish this, et cetera, et cetera.
Absolutely.
But on the other side of it, a team can say, hey, generate job requirements, produce a produce a job description for this role, focus on these tools. Are you advising clients to do those types of things, and what might be some common pitfalls?
To be honest with you, it's not much different than what a lot of hiring managers had done before, is, just kind of search job descriptions online and, copy and paste and add their changes to it. I think it's just a little bit faster. To be honest with you, it's pretty similar to what most, I think, hiring managers have done. And if not them, human resources for sure, and creating that job description and then sending it over to them in their own templates. What I actually recommend is not saying, hey, don't use the technology for that. Of course, right? Our time is valuable. And if there's things that can make it easier for us, absolutely. I would just make sure to go through it with a fine-tooth comb and, make sure that it truly aligns with, what exactly your organization is looking to accomplish and where you see yourself and this person, not only in the next 6 months, but in the next 3 years. And, will this person in this role evolve, or, are they going to fit into your roadmap? So that's ultimately what I recommend when you can take a job description off of AI and build it through ChatGPT, but make sure that you really add to it and look at it for the long haul.
Okay, you're talking about some next level shaping here, not just getting it right out of the gate, but acknowledging and recognizing that security roles have to be flexible. You were just speaking about, is this job description going to work in 6 months, 2 years, etc. So you're really helping your clients think this all the way through.
Absolutely. So you want to look at it from like a 6-month, 12-month, 24-month time, because you do have, and organizations do have a roadmap that goes out that long. So will this person's visions, views outline with what your future is, right? So many a times we look at hiring as of the now, right? What do we need today? But they don't look at once that project's done or the specific need is filled, what's going to change? Like, what do things look like for the future? So it's looking for somebody that's going to not get the project today completed, but where you want to get the project over the next 24 to 36 months.
If I say the phrase AI-powered recruitment to you, what are the big ideas there?
I would say AI-powered recruitment would be processing of resumes, doing interviews that are through a chat bot, really taking human element out of it. That's kind of what that sounds like to me, right? Is really taking the entire human touch and removing that. And that's like, okay, here's a resume, you hit a button and the chatbot interviews the person, gives the feedback, goes through the process if their skill sets are there. But what they're not touching upon is we hire people that we enjoy and like, right? We will oversee and look over certain things that maybe don't fit specifically because culturally and as a person you want to work with, they are a match. So with that, I look like it just looks like it's completely removing all human connection. And I don't know how that can be successful when it's humans that are working with humans. If it was a chatbot hiring a chatbot, I could see that working.
Are you encountering any other forms of bias or constraints when you're using AI tools to help you in the recruiting space?
That's something I always wonder myself because you have to think, right? So someone's put in that information. So there is a lot of views of like what specifically is someone that has like application security experience or, what is a good person that can come in and do, like data security or data loss prevention. It's kind of looking at the bias of like, who is putting in this information and, what are their thoughts and beliefs, right? So one person might think one way and another way when it comes to specific roles and skill sets and what's successful for their environments. So I definitely see with the bias being, well, whose vision was this?
I'm returning to evaluating resumes for a moment. There could be a couple of different styles of resume. Junior people often have a task-oriented resume. I work on this type of firewall. Whereas a manager might be presenting something more along the lines, I work with these types of firewalls. We improved firewall review processing by 16%. Mm-hmm. We achieved an OpEx of like suddenly there's a whole bunch of metrics and KPIs in there, and you can see, this person has the project management and the deliverables mindset. That's setting them apart from the task-oriented folks that might be lower down the tier.
Absolutely.
As you evaluate resumes, has AI figured this out? Is AI giving you fluffy, false resumes of achievement that's at that manager level?
It's fun. There is some instances of that, but it's really hard because entry level, it is really task driven, right? So they don't have a ton of KPIs. Their bosses might, where they're, metrics driven. It's like, can they do the job, right? And do they have those skills where in the senior leadership, they need to have more depth in the understanding of what exactly did they accomplish? How fast did they accomplish it? Was it under budget, right? So there's more of a story to tell and less of just a job. So I definitely think AI is going to have a challenge where it needs to look at these, KPIs, and it needs to look at these more long, drawn out resumes where it's someone telling a story and not specifically just jotting down, specific tasks and projects and products and different things that list out all these experiences, where that's probably the biggest issue with cybersecurity is if someone has SIM experience, they could have like 9 different types of titles. And, there's multiple different type of people that will touch upon a SIM, right? So keyword searching is definitely not going to work. And I think AI definitely focuses in on that because you're building out an algorithm with no emotion. So truly understanding the story behind it, I haven't seen it. I have seen them fluff it up where, yeah, they use shiny words and they've got, every type of, product in there and, the key buzzwords, but the story behind what they're doing, is missed when you see someone creating a resume with, ChatGPT.
What skills should cybersecurity professionals develop to remain competitive in this new AI landscape?
That is a great question. I definitely think educating themselves on AI and ML, understanding data science, working with large data sets, understanding how to secure data appropriately, educating themselves on keeping up with different threat intelligence, probably looking at, having scripting experience in order to do creation of automational tasks, ransomware negotiations. I definitely feel that, even on the cybersecurity side, you need to have a stronger understanding of the data privacy, the policies and procedures, because, with these new tools, there's going to be a lot of, red tape around how you utilize them in order to secure your organization. And those skill sets are really what's going to stand out. And mostly, I think it's going to be the soft skills. I think individuals are going to see workloads at a much faster pace. And even though it's a faster pace and some, roles and responsibilities have been taken away, it doesn't mean that it's less work. It's just different. And to advance with that, soft skills is going to be important. And I think, being able to, think fast on your feet, really have great communication, follow directions, make sure that you're following all your policies and procedures, and keeping it cool, and being able to work under a lot of pressure. I definitely think that with this whole involvement in AI and automating of so many things, our whole process is just going to be much faster. And that means that the attackers are coming much faster and at a much larger rate. So that's where I recommend is just truly understanding in the role of what you're in today, in your future, what could AI do to remove some of your, requirements of your job today? And how can I level myself up to either understand how to do that or automate those things, and then also understand exactly what are the threats that come with automating those and just being ahead of the game.
I think your insights are really quite valuable there. For me, when I look at AI and machine learning and data governance and how all those three tie together, my biggest takeaway is it's very, very liberating. It very, very much sets you free. What I mean by that is, and I will cite an example, you can quickly get yourself guidance for building almost anything. Oh, you need a brand new AI data governance program to make your company successful? AI tools can tell you, here's the controls you need, here's how you need to build some guardrails, here are the things you need to think about. And yes, you always need to validate that the advice it's giving you is accurate, but you can take that as an entry-level person with maybe just some basic project coordinator skills and go, okay, I now at least have been handed a plan. So you can be unafraid to at least start charging forward. And I think this is crucial for people to accept and allow AI and ML tools to be in their life. I will cite, and here's my example. I'm with a company that has deployed one significant AI tool that has been custom developed within the organization. Mm-hmm. It's still evolving. Its governance, its guardrails, a lot of the sandboxed environments and protections so it can successfully use the tool internally and within its own product. There's like 3 of us in the company that are AI, ML, quasi-experts, right? Yeah. Well, we are the cavalry. No one is coming to rescue us. We have to figure out how to do it and help the company get there. So I got to go. These are the controls. These are the guardrails. This is our vision and our policy that we're aiming for here, here, and here. I wasn't an AI, ML expert 2 years ago, but you have to be. You have to just stare the bull in the eyes and go, this is what I'm going to have to master right now. Let's put the stake in the ground with a policy. Let's put the stake in the ground with a set of processes. Everything can be changed over time, but we got to start. Maybe the insight that I'm trying to arrive here is be unafraid. Just go, just do it. AI and ML, data science, threat intelligence, scripting, automation, all of the things you brought up, go, try it, do it. You have to anyway.
Correct.
Are you seeing that AI and automation is affecting salaries, affecting the volume or scope of opportunities?
I haven't, to be honest, there is going to be more of a need. There is going to be less individuals out there with the skill set. So, with everything else, I mean, people will pay for what they need, especially if they're in between a rock and a hard place. However, I think salaries within cybersecurity have always been a little wonky since I've been in the industry, right? So it's been 12 years since I've been focused specific in the cybersecurity and recruitment space. And I think right now we're still trying to, right side from what happened during COVID. And, there was a massive hiring and, open to remote work. So we're still trying to navigate now that people are going back into office in a lot of areas. Do we go back to geographically focused, salaries, right? And what the challenge is that, one individual that maybe had a job for a Silicon Valley company now has to be on site in Austin, Texas, and the salary requirements are not going to line up. And therefore they shouldn't because of the geographical areas, right? But I think that's the biggest piece with salaries. I definitely will see in any new technology, in any new type of way in cyber where, it's a new skill set, it's something that not many people have, they do pay more. And so if you go and you advance your education and your trainings and just your knowledge overall, it will pay off because you will make yourself, kind of stand out more against your, competition. And I definitely see organizations focusing on, making sure people have some of that experience and they'll pay for it.
Time and resources. How are you helping an organization accelerate when they come and talk to you and they say, we need a CISO or we need an entire security team? You open up your AI toolbox and you open up everything that is Addy. How are you helping them with resources?
So it's more of an approach of understanding, what are the problems they're trying to solve? So, many organizations will come and it's like, oh, I need a CISO. And well, what are you trying to accomplish, right? Sometimes they don't need a CISO. Sometimes they need just a VP or, someone in, one type of seat. So it's ultimately understanding what their end goal is, right? What is the problems that they're experiencing? What are some of the things that they're looking to accomplish? And then guiding them to what would probably be best. And whether that's a mix of a services company with a couple of hires or maybe hiring a CISO if, they need that leadership approach. But it all depends on the size of the organization and what is required of the organization from different standpoints of FCC regulations or any of that nature. So it's really just helping them to navigate what they can accomplish and what they truly need without overkill, right? So that's kind of where my approach is just making sure that I truly understand where the weaknesses are, where the issues are that they're trying to solve, and help them to build the solution.
So AI is here to stay, undoubtedly. Do you see an evolution over the next 5 years?
Absolutely.
Do you see an evolution specifically in the recruiting area over the next 5 years?
Absolutely. I definitely foresee it being automated, right? Or many professionals or organizations trying to automate the beginning stages of it. So that's really the interaction, finding the right person, reaching out to the right person, having those first few interviews, where that's all through automation. And it's going to take the human touch out of it all, which, we as a world, right, are all frustrated when we can't get somebody on the phone when we're trying to, alleviate an issue or call our credit card companies for some information, and we're talking to robots, and it's just, it seems like it takes much longer and it's more frustrating. So I'm a bit weary about that, but I definitely see that companies are going to come in and try to do things faster, cheaper. And even though in the long run, it's not efficient.
I very much appreciate that. I'm imagining right now an AI assistant asking a candidate the knockout questions, the screening and filtering questions. Mm-hmm. And in my present role as CISO, I don't know how I feel about that. It could be incredibly useful. If I have a small team, so I can definitely apply attention to all of those recruitment events. Mm-hmm. But if I had 50 or 100 people on the staff, and just given normal attrition, that might be anywhere from 12 to 25 hires every year, my attitude might change. I might want an AI assistant to do knockout questions.
Potentially.
However, the intangibles and the relationship skills, that comes from someone like you, knowing them and being able to assess for the business need.
Exactly. I mean, being able to represent your organization and, focus on truly what matters is, a human can only, portray that, right? So that warm, fuzzy feeling, you have a great conversation, you leave with a big smile, you get excited, from a hiring manager standpoint to a candidate standpoint. And it truly is about the candidate, because I think in many organizations that are going to try to automate this just to make things faster, what they're going to do is they're going to start off a candidate's experience with that organization in a very, I guess, non-professional, non-personal way that really does not portray who the business is. It doesn't give what the culture is, and it doesn't get them excited, right? So I just think that it's so important that companies remember that they're looking to hire, someone that has thoughts, beliefs, feelings. And, I think it's important that we, as just humans, make sure that we speak to one another. So I'm definitely weary about that. All of that. That makes me a little terrified, to be honest with you. So, just because I am such a relationship driver, and, what makes me stand out is truly working with the hiring manager. And it's like, I understand you want to do this the fastest way. I understand that you're in a budget. I can do that as a third party resource where, sending you a few profiles where you're going to hire one out of the three, as opposed to going through hundreds of resumes, HR spending time, you spending time, your team spending time.
Right.
By the end of it all, the cost and the money that they put into all of that could have totally been, alleviated by just one expert that is focused in those areas.
Right. And you have the measure of the person with those three candidates that you're putting forward. They've already gotten the Addy and the VertTalents seal of approval. So that certainly helps.
Absolutely.
Now, how does a candidate get on your radar? Here at the Cybersecurity Council, we serve cyber leaders. That means a lot of CISOs and senior folks that are building teams out there are listening to this conversation. How do they achieve your notice? How do they get into your field of view? This might be a brand and reputational question, but it just might also be a character and relationship question. How do they get in your field of view? In the sense of CISO wants a new job.
They just have to reach out. That's it. It's very simple. It's very, give me a call, send me an email, message me on LinkedIn. I'm always open to conversations, whether or not I have requirements open that fit the skill set. I am very big on making sure that I help to educate, people when they're building teams and hiring, but as well as professionals that are looking to find new opportunities. I'll be the first one to tell them, like, listen, the odds of me placing you right now might be slim just based on the market, but I'm going to do my best. But I'm also going to give you tips and tricks and tools to make sure that you're successful on your own as well. And, a lot of that is based off relationships. And a lot of people come to me because I've worked with somebody and I might not have placed them or, done certain things, but I made an impact. That's exactly what I'm looking to do is everyone that I speak with, everyone I worked with, I want to make an impact for them in some way, shape, or form, whether it's us doing business together or not.
At the beginning of this call, as I introduced you, I explained VertTalents, the Cybersecurity Breakfast Club, and all of the other amazing things that you are doing.
Mm-hmm.
Looking back on perhaps just the last 2 to 5 years, how have you grown as a cyber leader?
I would say I've definitely grown in more education and really trying to stay ahead of the curve. So not what's happening today, but what's, going to be happening tomorrow. And really trying to personally connect with the professionals I'm supporting, because I know that their jobs are very challenging. And I know that our market and industry is not easy. So I really want to make sure that, I take my time with them and anyone that I interact with. And so I think the biggest thing I've learned in the last, 3 to 5 years is to slow down and listen, pay attention, and not just make business, but build solution and, give people back some piece of their lives where they can, relax and have fun or, enjoy what they chose to do for the rest of their lives, right? And the industry that they're in, because we're all in this industry because there's something about it that we loved and we all want to give back and support and protect, right? And so sometimes those things get blurred by, we need to make sure that we hit these check boxes, or we need to make sure that we get this budget right, or we get this project done in time, where the whole end goal is just, not even looked at, right? The whole big picture is kind of forgotten about. So I like to kind of take that back to be like, why are we here doing this again?
And for the entry-level folks out there, do you have maybe a top 3 pieces of advice?
I definitely have so much advice for entry level. To be honest with them, I network, reach out, don't use the quick apply button just because you learned something in school and you think you have the skill set of a pen tester. They've taken these educational courses, they've taken these things, but they are lacking the actual day-to-day experience. And that's what's needed in our industry. And the challenge is that companies just don't have the bandwidth to train and educate right now because they're already, so tight. But they do have opportunity to have internships, a lot of organizations. So I definitely recommend, being out there and doing that. But really getting to know your community. So I think every event that I go to usually has like free access for students. So really partnering up with like local organizations, not-for-profit organizations, and getting involved with the community and just talking to people, having conversations is really going to set you apart. And then just constantly keeping up with what's happening in the industry and continuing your education where you're staying ahead of the game. So you might have the skill sets of today, but you're not going to be in the workforce for another 2 years. We'll look into what in 2 years it looks like is going to be needed and focus there. So that is probably, the three major things is networking, education, and I would say the third
and more
one
networking.
And more networking. I'm just like network education and just network. I really can't say that enough. And find a mentor. Find someone that is open to having conversations. There's many senior individuals that will mentor individuals that reach out to me all the time. There is great training programs that are out there that actually have things set up with different organizations where they'll actually give you hands-on training experience and then place you at that company. So they're like grooming you to work at that business where you might have to be there for X amount of years. But it's a foot in the door, right? So I'd look into those types of things.
Addy, what's on the horizon for you and VertTalents over the next few months?
Growth. So
2025.
I know. I definitely feel like there's going to be a lot of positive things that come this year. We're in a great place. Like I've been doing this for so long that, with
and you
technology,
have the LinkedIn followers to prove it.
Yeah, I know, right? I have a whole new phrase of like, I know a girl, I know a guy. But I think for that to be said, it's really going to be a building year. I think that this year is really going to, organizations are going to understand what's needed. I think that some organizations are going to be flipped on their heads. I think that cybersecurity is going to no longer be, something that's just looked as like a cost to companies, because without it, it's going to cost them way more. And I think it's going to be a rude awakening. So also looking at it as more of a consultative approach to say, what exactly do you need? And that's where my network is like, I have conversations and you might think you need a person where you potentially could just outsource it or have a product or, the good news is that I have so many connections and conversations that there is a lot that I have to offer. So I'm just excited to talk to more people and help out as much as I can this year.
Adrianna Iadarola, thank you for being a special guest here at the Cybersecurity Council. We are very happy that you brought some insights on AI and its impacts in the recruiting world. We're definitely here to help you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much. I enjoyed being here.
Welcome to the Cybersecurity Council. This council strives to showcase unique cybersecurity leadership stories. Its mission is to demystify and simplify cybersecurity across the entire business landscape. Best practices, lessons learned, operational recommendations, it's all here. Brought to you by the Cybersecurity Council, LLC, Brian Green and myself, Scott Brammer, will be your hosts. We have come in from the cyber wilderness, not just to share what we have learned, but to find and elevate some of the most important voices in cyber. Brian is a former Division I college football player who has experience across many cybersecurity software startups. He has a successful exit on his resume too. He's also the founder and president of this very community, the Cybersecurity Council. Myself, Scott Brammer, I'm a former Marine and active CISO, and I have 3 patents in cyber and risk. As hosts, we are here to elevate best practices and strengthen the cyber community, both for the community itself and its allies. The Cybersecurity Council has had auspicious beginnings here in the Austin, Texas community, but we are already going worldwide. Everyone should be a cyber practitioner. The views expressed on this podcast, either by us or by our guests, are our own, and they do not necessarily reflect the view of our organizations. This podcast is intended as a forum for professional knowledge, but it is not legal or regulatory advice. Always consult your legal professionals for legal and regulatory matters. And now,
assemble the council.